want you to call your friends, call those in need, call anybody that needs to get a little direction, maybe a little help from our panel of attorneys, and be here Thursday, March 30th at 7 p.m. for our monthly legal night. We will also have a special presentation from a panel of judges and others on the New York State bench. So we'll have a group of judges here. So you want to make sure that you are spreading the word about legal night. You can get all the information on how to Zoom in because we're both live and Zoom. So no matter where you are in the country, you can Zoom in to legal night. To get all that information, you can go to the website, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or call 877-626-4651. It's Thursday, March 30th, 7 p.m., the last Thursday of the month, legal night at National Action Network. We look forward to seeing all of you. And right now, Dr. Alvin Ponder, Vice President of the New York City chapter, has some additional information for you. Let's welcome.
Thank you, Attorney Hardy. Good morning, brothers and sisters, listeners and viewers, and thank you for tuning in to another Saturday Action Rally with the National Action Network. Here's some information to keep you in the know. Vice President Kamala Harris to keynote the National Action Network's annual convention. Vice President Kamala Harris will deliver the keynote address on the third day of the National Action Network annual convention hosted by the Reverend Al Sharpton in New York City. Reverend Sharpton said, "This will be a significant moment in a significant year as we work together not only to advance civil rights, but preserve those that we fought to get in the first place." Vice President Harris's participation reflects a strong collaboration with the National Action Network folks. In 2021, she keynoted the NAN 30th Anniversary Triumph Awards in New York City. Earlier this year, the Vice President appeared alongside Reverend Sharpton at the funeral of Tyree Nichols after he was beaten to death by Memphis police officers. The Vice President's address will come as at least 9 other members of the Biden-Harris administration are set to speak over the first 3 days of the convention. Those include Secretaries Gina Raimondo, Pete Buttigieg, Alexandro N. Mayorkas, Dennis R. McDonough, and Dr. Miguel Cardona, Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield, U.S. Representative to the United Nations, EPA Administrator Michael Reagan, Ambassador Susan Rice, Domestic Policy Advisor and Director of the Domestic Policy Council, and Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Kristen Clark. Panels, plenary addresses, and events will all be rooted in the need to empower Black Americans during this vital time. The convention will also feature entertainers, Kerry Washington and Tyler Perry, the mothers of the movement, news figures Michelle Miller and Lawrence O'Donnell, business titans Robert F. Smith and Irvin Magic Johnson. And leaders of the Black church include my pastor, Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, chairman of NAN and the Conferences of National Black Churches. Register today for NAN's convention. Now, in response of the continued and concerted efforts to undermine democracy in the United States, Reverend Al Sharpton will host the 2023 National Action Network Annual Convention in New York City from April 12th through April 15th to galvanize the civil rights and social justice movement. And to that end, NAN has called upon the nation's top government officials, entertainers, activists, scholars, media personalities, and financiers to develop real solutions to keep Dr. Martin Luther King's dream alive for an equal and just America. Reverend Sharpton said, "The theme of this year's convention is dealing with the dream under threat, dealing with the dream under threat, because Dr. King's vision for America is being rapidly blurred by those who want to take away our rights. We are seeing the impacts at the ballot box, in the doctor's office, and in the classroom. The NAN convention has always focused on how we can move the civil rights movement forward, but this year particularly demands that we bring the top of the top together to figure out a way to not only preserve that dream, but to make it as clear as ever. The timing of this year's convention is especially significant. NAN members will meet just a week after the 55th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King, and on the eve of the 60th anniversary of the historic March on Washington. The conference is free. Bleep. Let me repeat that. The conference is free and open to the public, but you gotta register. Now, to register, I want you to go to our website at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or just Google National Action Network like me. Click it. You'll see a big red box. Click that, and it'll only take you a minute to go ahead and register. Register today. Or we'll actually do it for you. You may call 877-626-4651. 877-626-4651, and we will register you. Reverend Sharpton to deliver the eulogy for Virginia man killed by sheriff deputies. Reverend Sharpton will deliver the eulogy at the funeral of Irvo Otieno, a Virginia man who died while being transported to a mental health hospital. Mr. Otieno died of apparent suffocation while in custody at Dinwiddie's Mental Health Hospital. Video footage shows 7 Henrico Sheriff deputies and 3 Central State employees holding him down at different points while he was shackled on his hands and feet for approximately 12 minutes. One sheriff had his knee on Otieno's neck. The funeral is slated to take place next Wednesday, March 29th, at the First Baptist Church in Richmond, Virginia. Ahead of Chicago's mayoral race, Reverend Sharpton encourages voters to head to the polls with about a week to go before residents in my hometown, Chicagoland, cast a vote for their next mayor. Reverend Al Sharpton will travel to the Windy City to participate in a major Get Out the Vote effort organized by black preachers, including Reverend Marshall Hatch. Sunday's rally is aimed at encouraging massive voter turnout for the big April 4th election. Welcome to all of you who have tuned in to join us also via live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net and also live on Facebook at the National Action Network. If this is your first time joining us, and or if you're not a member of NAN, we welcome you to NAN and invite you to join us and get to the action today. For more information and to join, you may visit again www.nationalactionnetwork.net or call 877-626-4651 or just text the word NAN to 59769. Welcome.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Ponder, for those reports. Right now, brothers and sisters, our coordinator of all things here at National Action Network, also liaison to President Reverend Sharpton, is here to ask what's on your mind. Good morning, Katrina Jefferson.
Good morning, Attorney Hardy, and good morning to each and every one of you who are here live here at the House of Justice, to those that are watching by way of live streaming on our Facebook pages and on our website, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and to those that are listening by way of WLIB 1190 AM. Welcome to another weekend's conversation of What's on Your Mind, where you, the community, you, the people, have the opportunity to interact with us here at the National Action Network by sharing your thoughts, your viewpoints. You know, maybe it's something you overheard while you were commuting this week, or you were watching the news and your spirit was just vexed. Well, guess what? This platform, this space is for you. You can email us 24 hours a day at whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net, or you may call us at 877-626-4651. We've got a rather robust line today, but I'm going to one of our seniors here in the audience, our dear mother, Ivy. Good morning. Tell the people your name and share with them what's on your mind today.
Greetings, Nan family. My name is Mother Ivy Walton. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. What's on my mind? I'm just now getting over the fact that Reb, the lawyer, what's his name? Mike, and Dominic, Ashley, they all had the nerve to go to my home without me. They didn't take me. Now, you know that's wrong. I'm from Selma, Alabama, and they went to Selma and didn't take Mother. Now, y'all are mature, y'all got to get on them. But all you need to know is that when they stepped on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, Mother's footsteps has been on that bridge many times. I remember when it was just wood, but when the wagons and the cars would go across the bridge, the clanks would say clanker like.
Thank you so much for sharing, Mother Ivy. Good morning. Give us your name, let us know where you're from, and share with the people what's on your mind today.
Good morning. My name is Brenda Ricketts. I'm from Yonkers, New York, and what's on my mind is art in Harlem. Today and tomorrow are the last days for the art exhibit in the Adam Clayton Powell State Office Building, and I'd like everybody to come out and support the local artists. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Good morning. Give us your name, let us know where you're from, and share with us what's on your mind.
Good day, everybody, and God bless everybody. My name is Sister Reverend Word. I'm from Heaven, born in Harlem, and I'm 71 years old and new. Of course, what's on my mind is Bible scriptures. Christ Jesus has taught us to be very, very grateful to God's blessings. And I want to personally thank God for waking us up this morning in our right minds to be here. And we must stay woke. Participating with the National Action Network Convention will help us be alert, working, advancing, kindly, everywhere. We must stay awake to the issues that support our democracy. God bless you all. Good day.
Thank you so much for sharing. Good morning. Give us your name, let us know where you're from, and briefly share with us what's on your mind.
Hello, my name is Anthony Dolce. I'm the director and founder of the Stop False Abuse Sporting Group and Initiative. We're located here in Hell's Kitchen, Manhattan. What's on my mind is police accountability. Payouts for lawsuits against the NYPD topped $121 million in 2022, nearly doubling the amount that was spent settling claims for officer misconduct just 2 years earlier, according to the Legal Aid Society. Police were named in multiple wrongful conviction lawsuits that were settled for millions of dollars last year. I'm trying to understand why we are still paying millions and millions of dollars each year for police officers' misconduct, especially in cases where NYPD officers are intentionally reporting crimes that did not occur against an innocent person. I believe that true justice cannot be served until NYPD officers are held civilly and criminally accountable to the same standards as any other civilian who committed a crime. No justice, no peace.
Thank you so much for sharing. And we're going to close it out with a message, remarks from our dear beloved, I know, I see you right here, from Miss Wanda. Good morning. Tell the people your name. Let them know where you're from, and share with us what's on your mind.
A native New Yorker, born in Harlem. I know this is Women's Month, right? So let's do this fast. I'd like to thank my mother and my aunts, the grandmothers. I'd like to thank the women who have been losing their children all over the city, the state, and the country. I want to give you a food for thought. Is love blind? Let's look at 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter. Because what we're having today is an amount of people that are called people who are hurt other people. And if this doesn't stop because people need to be healed, America will continue to have a sore that pusses out and is never cured. So let's walk in love. Let's think about some of the great entertainers who sing about love, and let's be about love. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. And lastly, just a quick announcement. Open casting call happening here at the House of Justice tomorrow, which is Sunday, March 26th, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. We are calling all models and talent. There will be an Artivism fashion showcase and talent competition for National Action Network's annual convention, which is April 12th through the 15th. Now, the fashion show and talent showcase is on Saturday, April the 15th during convention. However, tomorrow is an open casting call, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. here at the House of Justice. And so any of you all are here, you're artists, you're poets, you feel like you can model, walk the runway, then tomorrow make sure that you're here. And if you're not here, you can call us at 877-626-4651 to receive the open call information. That concludes this weekend's conversation of What's on Your Mind. Keep in mind, everything you heard here were simply the thoughts and the viewpoints of the contributors and do not reflect those of the National Action Network directly. And you can interact with us 24 hours a day by emailing us at whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net. Again, that email address is whatsonyourmind@nationalactionnetwork.net. Or you may call us at 877-626-4651. Back to you, Attorney Hardy.
Thank you, Katrina Jefferson. And you know, Katrina, Mother Ivy Walton always has a good point. And for those that don't know, you know, she talked about Selma, but Mother Ivy, Sister Ivy Walton, was the lead plaintiff in tearing down telephone apartheid at New York State prisons. And we always appreciate that on her behalf. But right now, brothers and sisters, our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson, in the house.
Exceedingly, abundantly, above all you could ask or think, according to the power that worketh in you. You
That is our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson, accompanied by the Change Ensemble. Right now, brothers and sisters, our Women's History Month segment, and we are so pleased to bring right now Thea Aaron, the recording secretary of the Women's Auxiliary, to present our Women's Month history speaker. Let's welcome her.
Well, good morning, Nan family. And happy History, Her Story Month. I wish everyone a blessed, happy Women's Her Story Month. National Action Network, Women of the New York City chapter, are an active component of the nation's largest civil rights organization under the leadership of the Venerable Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton. Just a few of our activities include the annual holiday gift basket giveaway to families in need and toys to children during the holidays. The Kathy Jordan Sharpton Scholarship Fund that provides financial awards to exemplary young people, celebrating the legacies of women who have been the pillars of the movement, and honoring community leaders at our annual Women of Excellence, Men of Vision Awards ceremony happening this afternoon following the rally. And I am so delighted to be able to tell you that we are completely sold out. We invite you to help uplift women by supporting the NAN Women's Auxiliary. For more information, we welcome you to call 877-626-4651. The members of the Women's Auxiliary are beautifully adorned today in black with kente cloth. I often think of black as God's favorite color. For out of blackness came all of creation. The color black has been associated with power, elegance, and sophistication, the little black dress. Our kente cloth with its vibrant colors symbolize fertility, renewal, harmony, passion, and unity with our ancestors. Well, now today, our very special Women's Her Story guest has an impressive biography. But because I'd like to give her the most time to speak with you, I'll just share a few highlights. Today we celebrate the last in our Women's Her Story Month series by bringing before you one of Harlem's own born and bred black women entrepreneurs. A CCNY business major, Ms. Carolyn D. Johnson, is the president and proprietor of Welcome to Harlem, a sightseeing company she founded in 2004 to conserve the multi-hued history and cultural richness of Harlem. The company, which proudly operates, survived the pandemic and continues to conduct tours to date. Through her tours, Ms. Johnson has diligently endeavored to pay tribute to the historical legacy and culture of Harlem. In 2010, Ms. Johnson, in collaboration with Valerie Jo Bradley, co-authored the Harlem Travel Guide. She attributes her tremendous Harlem journey to the influences of Ms. Bradley. In 2014, Ms. Johnson, in partnership with Craig Harris, founded the Harlem Jazz Box, an entertainment venue that regularly provides affordable live jazz performances for the community. At Mount Olivet, Mount Morris Park Presbyterian Church, there are Friday jazz evenings and gospel Saturdays that happen from April through to December. Now, many, if not most, grew up with this game called Monopoly. How many of you remember that game? It's a popular game. Well, in 2008, Ms. Johnson created and introduced Harlem Roots, an online education program for children, along with the board game Harlemopoly, Harlem Renaissance Edition. I had the lovely opportunity to play the game during a Harlem Street Festival last fall. Those of us at the game board could hardly stop playing as dusk rolled in. The game presents a thrilling, entertaining way for game players to learn about Harlem Renaissance with people, places, and events associated with the myriad of Harlem personalities and venues. The online lexicon ensures that during gameplay, learners can be introduced to a wide plethora of Harlem trivia. Each space on the board and the accompanying game cards provide the opportunity for players to discuss a host of interesting topics. This entertaining game sparks fascination as the players learn. If interested, I have some cards I can give you. You see me after the rally. I'll be more than happy to share the information with you. There she is, cards. Okay, if you're interested in revisiting your Harlem community, learning something you didn't know, enjoying some jazz or gospel, playing a good old board game, Harlem style, get a card and visit Ms. Johnson. Okay, well, with that, I'd like to now have you to give her a hearty House of Justice welcome. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Ms. Carolyn D. Johnson.
Thank you. First, I want to thank, I was fortunate enough to meet Althea, like she said, last fall, doing a little exhibit at the game on one of the closed street blocks, and I could not thank her enough for inviting me here today to speak with you all. I don't know if people realize how significant Harlem is in general to American history and world history. We have been in existence since 1658. We can thank the different railroads that came up here to make Harlem the Mecca that it is today. First, you had the 4th Avenue Railroad, which is now known as Metro North, that made its way into East Harlem. And with that coming up here, you had the first Little Italy in New York City was in East Harlem. Oh, yes, they don't tell you these things. The first Little Italy in New York City was in East Harlem. Then after that, you had the Puerto Ricans moved there after World War I. Then you got the name Spanish Harlem El Barrio in that community. Harlem is 3 beautiful, distinct neighborhoods: East Harlem, Central Harlem, and West Harlem. East Harlem starts on 96th Street, goes all the way up to 148th Street. It incorporates Randall's Island and Ward's Island. Those are part of East Harlem. Then you have Central Harlem, where you had the other 2 railroads come up here in the early 1900s. Central Harlem goes from 110th, from 5th to Morningside to 159th Street. And with that, you had the 2 railroads, the I&D and IRT, come up here. And when those railroads came up here, they were developing this area for middle-class Jews. Harlem was a Jewish community. Over 175,000 lived here at some point in time. Then you have a West Harlem that goes from 110th to 155th Street. And when they were developing that, that was for Irish and Germans and stuff. But if you put all 3 sections together, we are 1/5 of the island of Manhattan. We are 6.2 miles. We are the largest neighborhood in New York City. Do not believe what Wikipedia tells you. It's someplace in Brooklyn. It's Harlem. Do not look at the maps that they have online. They are wrong about Harlem. For some reason, they always carve out Morningside Heights like it's not a part of Harlem. Morningside Heights sits in Harlem. I share the zip code with them. Trust me, they're part of Harlem. And that's some of the things that people don't realize about our community, the breadth of land that we incorporate as a neighborhood and stuff. Now, if it wasn't for the Civil War coming along, Jim Crow laws, the failed Reconstruction, the Great Migration, all these people moving up north, we would not be who we are today. And because of that, and the fact that you had the first African-American regiment in the Army come out of Harlem, that's what put us on the map. When the 369 traveled to Europe to go fight in World War I, when the white soldiers didn't want to fight with us, they bravely fought with the French. They fought 191 days on the front lines. They never lost a battle. They were the first regiment to cross into Germany. And the Germans named them the Harlem Hellfighters because we whipped their butts. And the fact that they traveled to Europe They took jazz music in our culture, and that's when the world found out about this special place known as Harlem. And if it wasn't for that happening, the Harlem Renaissance would have never occurred because everybody was focused on us. It could have been the Chicago Renaissance or the Detroit. But the fact that they knew about us, that's where people gravitated to. And that was the early 1919. Then you had 4 historical black churches make their way up here between 1923 and 26. And with that happening, with the Great Migration, this became the it spot, and we have not looked back since. We've had our ups and our downs or whatever, but at the end of the day, Harlem has always stood strong. It's like I like to say, block strong, Harlem proud. And because of that, I was fortunate enough to make the game Harlemopoly. This one is based on the Harlem Renaissance, and it is a multitude of information in regards to people, places, and events. And not only that, I made an online glossary because I know a lot of people will not know these people, places, and events, and I'm trying to educate people as much as possible as to the wealth of information that we have here as a community, and thank you very much.
All right, we want to thank the Women's Auxiliary. Also want to thank Carolyn Johnson for her presentation. Also, very quickly, want to again remind you that this Thursday, March 30th, is the last Thursday of the month, and so make sure you're calling everybody to remind them that Legal Night is here at National Action Network, 106 West 145th Street. Call 877-626-4651 to find out everything you need to know to zoom in to Legal Night or to be here on Thursday, March 30th, 7 p.m. is when we kick it all off. Once again, our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson. That is our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson, accompanied by the Change Ensemble. Brothers and sisters, we are so pleased to have with us this morning for our Inspirational Word segment, Pastor Gabby Cujo Wilkes, pastor of Double Love Experience in the great borough of Brooklyn. Let's welcome her.
Amen. Come on. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Do I have any church folks on a Saturday that can just rejoice in the Lord always? And again, I say rejoice. Good morning, National Action Network. Good morning, good morning. I want to give honor to the Reverend Al Sharpton, the founder of the National Action Network, as well as chairman of the board, Reverend Dr. Franklin Richardson. I thank them both for their work. Can we just salute them now with a hand clap? It is an honor to be back with you today. I am Reverend Dr. Gabby Cujo Wilkes. I bring you greetings from Brooklyn, New York, at the Double Love Experience Church. Is Brooklyn in the house? Okay, is Harlem in the house? All right, New York City, we are gathered. Today I want us to go to Psalm 126, verses 1, and then we'll drop down to verse 5. The Bible reads as follows: When the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dreamed. Verse 5, those who sow with tears will reap with joy. Let's pray. God, we thank you for this time of gathering, this weekly rally that enthuses us and gives us what we need to run on and see what the end is going to be. We ask, Lord, that you would stop by here one more time. Have your way. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Won't you pray with me from the title, Dreams and Nightmares? Dreams and Nightmares. In 2012, hip-hop artist Meek Mill released his debut album called Dreams and Nightmares. And I wonder if I have any hip-hop lovers who might have snuck into the House of Justice this morning. Any hip-hop fans will know that Dreams and Nightmares, I hear you, was not only the name of his album, but doubled as the name of his debut single. Now, before I split the room, let me just do a roll call so I know who I have with me on a Saturday morning, because there's a few songs in the culture that when they come on, we get up out of our seats, recite every lyric, get our dance on, and carry on a little while. For some of you, it might be those guitar licks that kick in on love and happiness that make you get your two-step and your dancing partner. Some of y'all is Before I Let Go, Frankie Beverly and Mays or Beyonce's version. Some of you is for the 99 and the 2000. Something happens in your body that you cannot control. Still, for some of us, the dreams and nightmares of Meek Mill are the lyrics that when they come on, we can't help but rhyme and say, I used to pray for times like this, to rhyme like this, so I have to shine like that, to grind like this. When we hear those, we know we're in for a time. Dreams and Nightmares. The debut album of Meek Mill is a brother from the city of brotherly love giving us a song to let us know that his dreams had in fact come true. How many of you know the ability to dream is a gift unto itself? When you're free to dream, you're free to imagine what's possible in your life. The ability to dream is actually a gift from God. Somebody wave at me if you're a dreamer. Somebody wave at me if you've got big dreams for your life, big plans for your life, unshakable faith, tenacious audacity. Where are my dreamers? The ones who didn't let life steal their dream. Where are my dreamers? The ones who didn't let life steal their hope. Where are my dreamers? The ones who will say, I shall live and not die. And like MLK, I too have a dream. I've got a dream. But man, let me tell you something. Alongside every dream is the possibility of a nightmare. That's why I love that hip-hop album, because while Meek Mill knows that he's living a portion of the dream, he's also clear about the nightmares on the other side of the dream. And every dreamer knows that they're honest about it, that the nightmarish conditions of life can still haunt even the dreamers who dream the most. Yes, I know we've had our first black president of the United States 2 terms in a row. Yes, I know that we have a black woman on the Supreme Court. Yes, I know that our elected vice president, is an HBCU grad, and a member of the Divine Nine, but I also know that on the other side of the dream can be some nightmares. I wonder if anybody will be honest with me today that even when you're living your dream, there's some nightmares that come on the other side of the dream. On the other side of the dream are killings of black bodies slain by law enforcement officials who were supposed to protect us. On the other side of the dream are homicides upon homicides in our own neighborhoods. On the other side of the dream are politicians giving broken promises. On the other side of the dream are comorbidities and enduring harm from a pandemic turned endemic that our world is contending with. On the other side of the dream are people being told to pull themselves up by their bootstraps with no interrogation of systemic injustice that kept them down in the first place. On the other side of the dream are black folks being harassed in the gated communities they've worked so hard to buy into. Nan, I'm here to tell you that even if we feel like we're living the dream, we still got to deal with the nightmare. You might ask me, preacher, how do I deal with the nightmare? And I'm so glad you asked. You deal with the nightmare by giving yourself permission to cry. Oh yeah, tears are your turning point. Tears tell your truth. Tears tear through the perfect lies we try to project and give voice to the nuanced conditions in our lives. In Psalm 126 and 5, there's a promise there. If you read too fast, you'll miss it. But there's a promise there that says those who sow in tears will reap in joy. I love it because the tears don't keep us from the dream, but they give voice to the nightmare. Our true joy and our true dreams are on the other side of our tears. And I got to get up out of here, but I just came to encourage some brother or some sister to live the dream, but talk about your nightmare. Somebody ought to holler, I'm not scared of my nightmare. I'm not scared of my nightmare. I might be living through a nightmare right now, but joy comes in the morning. I might be enduring a nightmare right now, but late in the midnight hour, God is going to turn it around. I might be living through a nightmare right now, but I know God's going to see about me after a while. And I'm not talking about what I don't know, because in the midst of a nightmare, the Harlem Renaissance still produced the poetry and artistry of Langston Hughes and Countee Cullen and Zora Neale Hurston. In the midst of a nightmare, we still snuck off to the brush harbors and created juke joints and made sure that we could sing the blues and created jazz. In the midst of a nightmare, when music was taken out of public schools, our children had no instruments to play, so they went down into their parents' basements and started pulling out albums from the crates and started scratching records and rhyming in syncopation and creating something called hip-hop. Y'all, I'm here to tell you, we've never had the luxury as black people of living the American dream. We've lived in a nightmare, but let me tell you this, no nightmare can keep you from your dream. No nightmare can keep you from your joy, because those who sow in tears will reap in joy. So you should pray for times like this, because God's going to see about you. You should pray for times like these, because God's not going to leave you hanging. Do I have any company in the building that doesn't mind crying a while? Because those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Do I have a witness? Has anybody sowing some joy in your life? The tears will bring forth joy. Live the dream, but talk about your nightmare.
That was Pastor Gabby Cujo Wilkes, Pastor Double Love Experience in the great borough of Brooklyn, Change Choir. That is the Change Choir, National Action Network's Change Choir. Brothers and sisters, I want you to get on your feet right now for the president and founder of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton.
No justice. No justice. No justice. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? When do we want it? 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 Fist bump the person next to you. Tell them you love them. When I was a boy preacher in Brooklyn at Washington Temple Church, we used to have a traveling evangelist pastor from Detroit that would come through and preach every once in a while named Reverend C.L. Franklin. And Reverend C.L. Franklin had a daughter that would sing. And down through the years, she and I watched each other and became closer and knew each other. In fact, she came to my birthday party just a few years ago. I ended up speaking at her funeral as one of those that spoke before the eulogy. And I thought about her this week because she's gone now. But she started as just a PK, a preacher's kid, singing in the hood in Detroit. But this week, Rolling Stone magazine took a poll of the greatest vocalist of all time. And the number one vocalist was the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. If you keep on singing, if you keep on using the gift God gave you, if you turn your nightmares into dreams, your change will come. Next week, we will remember April 4th was the date they killed Dr. Martin Luther King. A few weeks ago, when I went to Memphis to do the eulogy for Tyree Nichols' funeral, I took my youngest daughter, Ashley, over to the Lorraine Motel where they killed Dr. King. But even when you are victimized, your victimization can't rob your victory. Because on the way to the Lorraine Motel, we had to ride down Martin Luther King Boulevard. And all over this country, there's not a city I go in, they don't have a Martin Luther King Avenue or Martin Luther King Boulevard. And in fact, the third Monday of every year, they close down government, federal, state, and city to honor his birthday. They may kill the dreamer, but they can't kill the dream. And if you hold on to your dream, your change will come. Change will come. Your change. Just hang on in there. Your change will come. Your change. Oh, change will. Oh, change will. National Action Network Change Choir, give them a big hand. Give them a big hand. Certainly we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning for the Saturday Action Rally. And for you that are here live in the House of Justice, for you that are listening live on 1190 WLIB in New York, and for you that are watching on our various media platforms, we give you our best report every Saturday morning on where the action is. Give a hand to our presider, Attorney Michael Hardy. our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson. Give our little band, give Chris, the drummer, and them some. Let me reiterate very quickly, because I want to get into something before I get into my message. Let's give a hand to Pastor Wilkes, that great message. And I think she did a very timely message. And we enjoyed her this morning. Let me reiterate, I'm going to get into in a minute. Let's welcome our Impact TV family watching around the country. I'm going to get into a minute, but those that have not signed up, if you are watching us or if you are listening by radio, that have not signed up for the National Action Network Convention, we're just a little under 3 weeks away. I would strongly advise you sign up today. Because we're going to have to close down pre-registration soon. The reason we have people pre-register is because we get the rooms, the conference rooms or the ballrooms based on registration. And once we pay, that's going to be the room that you're in. And if your name is not on the list and the room get packed, you will be in the hall waiting on us to tell you what happened inside. Listen here. Our convention is free. We don't charge you to come. But if you're too irresponsible to pick up a phone or go online and register, then you don't need to have a free access to what is going to be an exciting convention. Or as announced, Dr. Ponder announced, Vice President Kamala Harris is going to be speaking. There'll be 9 members of President Biden's cabinet, from the Secretary of Education to the Secretary of Transportation to his domestic advisors, and all be speaking and engaging with us. Magic Johnson will be doing a workshop on how he went from being a Hall of Fame basketball player to one of the great entrepreneurs in this country, and how he did it and how we must do it. He is one of the things, his company, we fought to make sure his company was one of those that got the contract to redo Kennedy Airport. Now they have contracts available and he wants to see some black and brown business people get them. He's going to address that at our convention. Tyler Perry will be there getting our cultural award. And you get a double bang there because Tyler's coming and Medea's coming with him. Y'all figure that out. Kerry Washington is going to do a fireside chat with me about the power of voting. Hill Hopper, so many will be there. Don't come just to see the big names. Come because we're dealing with every aspect, from criminal justice reform to policing to academics, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, to health care, all of that, and we're coming out with an agenda that Nan is going to work on. So if you are watching or listening, go right now. You can call on the phone 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651, or you can go online to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and you can register online. Secondly, let me reiterate that this is the last Thursday of the month, and we have legal night, and right here at the House of Justice. And Attorney Michael Hardy that started that many years ago, and now it's being done in various chapters. That's where you can come and get legal advice for free. A lot of y'all don't know what to do, and a lot of y'all need just some direction facing a legal problem, that's what legal night is for. So you don't have to pay a consultant. You know, you go to some law firms, you got to pay just to ask a question. You can get it here free once a month and in some of our chapters. Starts at 7 o'clock, and we salute Attorney Hardy. He started that many years ago. How long? Started it 13 years ago, and to think a man 13 years ago at his age would still think of something like this. That's why you can't count folk out just because they get up there in age. I want to also, and I'm going to get into something before I get into my message, but I want to also acknowledge the political director of our Detroit National Action Network, already announcing his own right. Sam Riddle's in the house. Stand up, Sam. Sam Riddle from Detroit, Michigan. And he is here. He has his radio broadcast, the same station that broadcasts my syndicated radio station. And he's the political director of our Detroit, Michigan chapter. Reverend Charles Williams is our president there. Talking about broadcast, I'm going to be dealing with I'll be in Chicago tomorrow. One of the reasons is I'll be speaking at the Get Out the Vote rally at Reverend Marshall Hatch's church tomorrow evening after I get off Politics Nation, and I have both candidates that will be on Politics Nation, 5 o'clock Eastern Time on MSNBC. And then I also have from Mississippi, Benny Thompson, the congressman, will be on. Tonight we're going to have on Congressman Bowman and other members of Congress dealing with these issues. And I'm having on one of Donald Trump's lawyers, who I've known. Ironically, he and I fought together to get Meek Mill out of jail. So I want to know his rationale on how he's gone from Meek Mill to Donald Trump. And y'all make sure you watch at 5 o'clock. Maybe he heard Pastor Wilkes' sermon. Dream and nightmare. Maybe that's how he's going to answer me tonight. On a more serious note, I am very concerned about the climate that has been set around the family and life of our district attorney, Alvin Bragg. When I saw this photo of former President Trump holding a bat, looking at Alvin Bragg's photo, and then he puts on his social media that if he is indicted, it will lead to death and destruction. We've gone past inference now to direct threats that we should not be surprised that somebody sent an envelope with white powder and threatening the life of the DA. Let me tell you something. One of the things I learned is you got to be clear in public life. I've been falsely accused, he incited some Crown Heights. I wasn't even there to after right. But I had to say, but I could have said more, or this and that. I made a speech one September, and that December, God burned down the store here. They say he was inspired by me. God couldn't stand me. But I said, you got to denounce it. For Trump not to denounce violence, but in fact poses with a bat toward the guy investigating him, and then puts in writing that there'd be death and destruction. Those of us that are in this community cannot stand by and allow that to go unaddressed. Now, first of all, let me be clear. We know Alvin Bragg. He comes out rallies many times. He lives a few blocks from here. He comes to huddle sometimes. Youth meet here on Monday night. He's a Sunday school teacher at one of our historic churches. We know his family. And when he was under attack, he'd come. He'd come some Saturdays. You all know that are here every Saturday that we don't even know he's coming. So we have a personal feeling here. But if there's one prosecutor that I do not believe has a political agenda, it is Alvin Bragg. And let me tell you why I say that. Because, you know, people get amnesia real quick. The same Alvin Bragg, Manhattan DA, that they're saying is going after Trump with a political agenda, a year ago, he stopped the investigation on Donald Trump, was attacked for stopping it, said he didn't think they had enough. 2 of his assistant DAs resigned. One even went and wrote a book. The only reason that he would reopen the investigation is there must have been some evidence brought to him that convinced him to look into this. They were already out of it. He'd already taken the flack. He'd already been attacked. In fact, he came here that Saturday and answered the attacks right at this platform. So for him to have new issues raised and not to bring it to a grand jury and not to find out if there was cause to bring an indictment would make him irresponsible and would make him reckless with the law and would make him undeserving of what the people in Manhattan voted to put him there for. That's right. I didn't see no photos with a bat when he had stopped the investigation. I didn't see any threats when he said we don't have enough to proceed. But all of a sudden now, we hear all of this vitriol that is directly inciting violence. You would think Trump would have learned from January 6th how not to be so incendiary. And somebody need to remind him they are still investigating his role in January 6th. If any of us in public life that was under investigation from a prosecutor took a picture of us with a weapon next to the prosecutor's picture, they would prosecute us for that. Have we no rules anymore? Have we no, well, I almost say have we no shame? But they are investigating him about a porn star that went on and tried to cover it up. That is the investigation. We ain't talking about no white-collar crime now. I'll leave that alone because there's some press here. But I could take some poetic license with that. But I want us to, aside from your politics, aside from your belief, aside from your whether you hope there's an indictment or not, it doesn't really matter. Let the evidence go where it goes. But I want us to pray for the safety of Alvin Bragg and his family. Whatever the decision, I want us to pray for his safety. I'm calling on all churches tomorrow, all houses of worship, to pray for the family and life of Alvin Bragg. I think that that envelope shows that somebody crazy could think they're doing right to try and harm him and a member of his family. So I told our own Reverend Malcolm Bird is on staff now at National Action Network, but he pastors the historic Mother AME Zion Church here in Harlem. I said I would like you to get some of our faith leaders in Harlem to stand with us to have prayer for Alvin here today as Harlem prays for Harlem's own DA and Manhattan's DA, Alvin Bragg. I see Gwen Carr is here in the audience, who Alvin was a lawyer for, and she's the mother of Eric Garner. I see the brother of George Floyd in the audience. Terrence Floyd, you come up. I want you to join this prayer. It's George Floyd's brother. You come up. I see one of the Central Park Five that went to jail 13 years for a crime he did not commit. And ironically, he was arraigned for that crime in the same building that if Donald Trump is indicted, he will have to go in the building that you were arraigned in while he was buying ads saying you should be executed. Well, he's not executed. He's in the house this morning. Come on up, Carrie Weiss. And we have several of our clergy, faith leaders here from Harlem that's going to join us in this prayer. From St. Philip's Episcopal Church, Reverend Father Terrence Lee. Come up, Father Lee. First AME Church, my friend and brother, Reverend Dr. Henry Beeland is with us. Come on up, Reverend. Reverend Dr. Geraldine Harris of the Baptist Ministers Conference, come up. From Abyssinian Baptist Church, Reverend Lee Hodge, Reverend Janine Merrick, Reverend Jerome Robinson. All of y'all come up. And the Godfather, New York Pentecostalism, Bishop Alvin Jameson is in the house. Come on up. I want all of these ministers to stand next to me. No, I'm arranging this. Let all the ministers come up, stand next to me. All of you that believe in prayer in the audience, I want you to stand. I want us all to take hands in a prayer connection. Where's our inspirational speaker? You get in here the way you put her in between me and Beanin. So we got women and men, and I want us to pray for this family. I want people in radio land and that are watching on television to pray for the family of this district attorney. We are a community of faith. We're a community that knows danger and knows that inferred danger, especially someone that sits in such a position, could wake up some of the worst demons in someone's mind. And we want the word to go out that we stand with this family. We don't know what the DA is going to do, but we want him to be well to do it. We fought for the right to vote. We marched and went to jail for the right to vote. And after many years, we now have elected the first black DA in the county of Manhattan. And we do not want to see him having to do his job under threat or fearing for his wife and family. We want God to cover him and protect him. Whatever the decision may be, whether we like it or not, but he should not have to face this kind of threat, implied or explicit. Let us pray. Dear God, we come to you. We ask you in many ways that we worship you. We approach you, some from different denominations, some even from different religious beliefs. Yet we come to ask you to cover the District Attorney of Manhattan, Alvin Bragg. Cover his family. Give them extra protection. And let them in the middle of this vitriol know that we didn't fight to put them in position to be targets, but to be those that can uphold our rights and protect us from those that are criminal even in our community. We ask you to forgive the venom and to give us the strength to go forth even in these times. As many of our faith leaders right here in Harlem, where Alvin lives, has come this morning to petition you to cover him and give him safety as he deliberates what to do. And we believe that you will give him that protection. And the glory and the honor shall be thine, not ours. These blessings we ask in your name. Amen. All right, thank you for joining. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. All right. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. All right. Let me say that on this Wednesday, I've already announced we're going to Chicago tomorrow, but on Wednesday we'll be in Richmond, Virginia. Many of you heard the case of Ervo Artenio. Young man had a mental health problem. They called the police, sheriff deputies came, took him in custody, brought him to the hospital, then was transporting him somewhere, and got on top of him, 7 of them, and just leaned all their weight in. It's on videotape. And smothered that young man to death. He's been here since he was 2 years old from Kenya. His family called Attorney Ben Crump and me, and I'll be doing a eulogy at his funeral. They have charged 5 of the sheriff's deputies already. But charging is different than trial and different than conviction. So we have to stand by that family. And we're going to be there with them. I'm going to do the funeral, and we're going to be there beyond that and bring that family. Many of our families will be at National Action Network Convention. I mentioned some of the stars, but all of the families, from Trayvon Martin to Michael Brown, all of the families are doing a workshop with Ben Crump at the convention. And we bring them every year. One of the things that we are careful about in NAN is once we get involved in a case, Pastor Wilkes, we never leave the families. Gwen Carr can tell you her son was killed over 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And we are still as close to the family of Eric Garner as we were 9 years ago. On Mother's Day, on Christmas, I call all of them. I talked to Miss Diallo, whose son was killed in '99. I call all of them because they watch my kids grow up. I watch their kids grow up. We become family. Absolutely. And many activists leave when the cameras are gone. That's right. That's right. But we believe in making sure that we remain bonded. And that's what we're also going to do with this family in Richmond. I do not believe in performative activism. I believe in real activism. And that is, if you're going to fight, then you fight till the end and stay together. I know how to perform, but I don't just perform. But I'm all right performing. But your performance ought to attract people to a movement. Your performance should not be the extent of your movement. And that's where we want to go. I remember in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when they killed that young man. Policewoman shot him in his car. And Bishop Albert Jameson flew out there, and we went out there together. We still stand with that family.
Absolutely.
They came out of the church, came out of the gospel music workshop. His daddy was part of that workshop.
Absolutely.
So we are not just doing things to be doing it. They like to say, well, Sharpton and them run in there when the cameras are there. No, we bring the cameras there. That's why they want us to come to Richmond to help put some national attention on it.
Absolutely.
And we don't need to do it for cameras.
Absolutely.
We got our own cameras. You don't believe it? Turn on MSNBC 5 o'clock.
That's right.
I want to also say that one of the things that I think that is of real significance, I was going another way till I heard Wilkes' little inspirational message. One of the things that we must do is we must change the tone in our community. I was thinking a lot during the week of what happened to our community to where we accept things that we didn't used to accept.
Absolutely.
You know, I hear people all the time talk about they disrespect the elders. Well, there was a time we were ashamed of that.
Absolutely.
Was a time you wouldn't curse on a bus if the old folks was there.
Yeah. Come on.
There was a time that we would not have certain ways that we would treat our women.
Yeah.
Was a time we would not say certain things in public.
Absolutely.
Even when we did things that was risque, as they call it.
Yeah.
We did it blue light.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, they would have little parties in the basement. They do the blue light. We wouldn't be grinding and stuff in with the light on.
No.
Nah, I don't know what Hardy and them was doing before there was lights, but since we had light bulb, we had blue light.
Yes, sir.
And when they turned on them slow songs, we were at least being ashamed of doing the grind.
Nice.
Now they get on stage and grind. Do everything but the acts. What happened? One of the things that we've always seen since the biblical days is that if they can change the culture, they can tear down the character.
My God, my.
What did they put Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace for? Because they wouldn't bow to the cultural change that Nebuchadnezzar demanded.
Absolutely.
Bow to my music.
Absolutely.
And they've now tried to make our music gospel, jazz, what she talked about Harlem. They try to act like that's old school. No, it is the school.
Absolutely.
This is what made us who we are.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's not anti-rap. It is anti the wrong stuff. She quoted and preached from Meek Mill. Nothing wrong with what Meek Mill said, but they're taking the degenerate part and dehumanizing our community and making our women fixtures.
See?
I mean, I'll never forget when I came out and said that I was against the N-word, and we've all used it wrongly. I was against calling women H's and B's. I remember a young lady called my Sunday morning radio show, said, Reverend Al? I said, yeah. She said, I had to say this to you. When you came out against using the N-word and H and B, I said, Reverend Al, wrong there. We say what we want to say. And da. She said, I was kind of on the other side of you. I agreed with you on most of the stuff you did, but I didn't agree with that. She said, but then the other day, she called from Atlanta. I'll never forget it. She said, then the other day I got in my car, was riding to work, and they put on a song, and by the time I got to work, they called me in the song a B 9 times. She said, I said, maybe Reverend Al's right. How many B's have I got to be before I got to work? Because that puts that in your mind. what you say about yourself is what you will accept about yourself. If you call yourself an in, you will not get offended if somebody treats you like that. If you call yourself, you let your daughter think she ain't nothing but an H or B. She ain't gonna stay in school to get her education right because she's already been devalued. And that's also why, bring you right back to why we're calling on prayer for Bragg. We cannot let folks devalue the people in our community that achieve something. We got the vice president coming speaking at our convention. The president spoke at our Martin Luther King breakfast. And I hear all these reporters asking me, do you think Kamala Harris is doing enough? First of all, she's the vice president. If she did more, you'd say she's trying to overshadow the president. And that she don't know how to be vice president. If she does what she's doing, well, shouldn't she be doing more? She's doing what vice presidents do. That's right. What did Biden do when he was vice president to Obama? What did Pence do when he was vice president to Trump? But you play in this game of devaluing. You would not tolerate anyone standing up with a back against a district attorney in Manhattan before Bragg. If anybody had done that to a picture of Morgenthau, if anyone had done that to a picture of Cyrus Vance, you'd open up an investigation, and we will not tolerate that being done to Alvin Bragg.
That's it. That's crazy. Yes, sir. Talk. That's right. That's it.
Now, you can disagree,
Yes.
but when you get across the line, there's standards we believe in.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to uphold those standards. Because nobody did us no favor. We fought to get in.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to be treated like everybody else in, or we're going to stop this whole town and make it clear there's going to be one standard.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will. That's right. Yes, sir. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Come on, that's it. Good talk, good talk. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
We are not going to tolerate
We're not going to tolerate it.
this kind of nonsense.
We're not going to tolerate it. Oh, yes. Come on here.
Porter's called me the other day. Do you think the mayor goes out too much at night? We had a mayor that used to fly to his house in Bermuda every weekend.
Every weekend.
Y'all didn't get mad about that, and shouldn't. That's his business.
That's his business.
Mayor go downtown and eat, and that's a scandal. He in town.
Right. Gotta eat. Come on here. Come on here. The games we play. Yes, Lord.
We must return the standards
Yes.
in our community and in our city, and we should not apologize about it.
Yes, sir.
That's why I liked the message the Women's Auxiliary had Carolyn Johnson on this morning. Because she's right. They will try to redraw the map and act like Harlem ain't Harlem. Like Morningside Heights is different and Sugar Hill is different because they don't want you to have any roots. Because if they can disconnect you from your roots, then your tree can't grow stronger. You do not measure the strength of a tree by its branches. You measure the tree by its roots. If you got deep roots, the tree will survive all of the seasons.
Yes, sir. This is good.
We're going into spring now. Well, the trees that were bare in the winter will now start growing flowers and leaves. Why? Because the roots lasted. But if you don't have strong roots, you can't last through the season changes. talking good. That is why it's important. Right? One of the reasons being that we do what we do right here is I want our community, I make all of the powerful come right here to this storefront on 145th. Why? Because I want young folk to understand they have power. We had everybody from Obama to the governors and all of them right here. We go downtown with our convention, but they all got to flow through here. I don't want no big cathedral. I want folk to know you can roll out the bed with your jeans on and meet, but you have power. That's why we meet every Saturday morning to re-energize ourselves about power on the ground. I don't care if you got a PhD or homeless. There's a house of justice for you, and you got power. That's right. And if we use that power that was fought for us, that's why we had the summit here a few weeks ago of all the black officials, because we wanted to make it clear that we have more power. I'm talking about black folks now, in New York State than we ever had. You got a black mayor, black police commissioner, black DA in 2 boroughs, black DA in 2 boroughs, black attorney general statewide, black majority leader of the New York State Senate, black speaker, black U.S. Attorney Southern District, black U.S. Attorney Northern District, black U.S. Attorney Eastern District. Adam Clayton Powell never dreamed of this kind of power. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And with all that power is there because some of us stood up and voted. And after accumulating that power that took centuries to get there, we're not going to let you marginalize us and disrespect us. We just ain't going to do it. Come on, man. Yes, sir. This is good talk. Good talk. And at the same time, we got to work to correct misbehavior in our own community. That's right. Talk. All this gun violence. All this. All the normalizing of our killing each other. We got to resist that. Oh, Lord, you heard somebody got shot on 136th Street. Like that's normal. First of all, they're inundating our communities with guns. These kids don't have no gun manufacturing plant. Where the guns coming from? How are you permitting them to get in here? We must return the dignity to our community and not suffer any crime from the outside or the inside. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. That's why the whole Bible is a story of liberating people and correcting their behavior as they go. Yeah. That not right, Jameson? Yeah. Freeing them, but making sure they're correct as they go. Absolutely. I was telling, I preached last week, week before last, down in Louisville, one of our board members. And I was telling Reverend Malone's church, his anniversary. And I was telling them that I remember when I started getting involved in civil rights, and Bishop Washington, my mother went to him and said, well, you know, he's boy preacher. I'm afraid he's going to get out of the church. He keep wanting to go to these rallies and all. And Jameson, remember back in the day, they used to say you backslid if you got involved in civil rights or politics. You're just supposed to stay in the church. Yeah. But I wanted to get involved. I was young. I wasn't even 13. And Bishop Washington brought me to Reverend William Jones and Reverend Jesse Jackson. They made me their youth director here in New York. And I remember that we would go and do things, and people would look at us like, what is all that about? I've been doing this all my life. And what I realized is that as I started getting more and more in civil rights, a lot of the churches, being in that I would preach for as a boy preacher, by the time I got teenage years and started getting in the paper, they said, well, you know, Sharpton, I don't know if you can come because you're getting political now. Or I'd go to others and they would say, well, you can preach, but don't get into that civil rights stuff. because I never wanted to pastor. I might have left to Jesse. Jesse never pastored. Dr. King gave up his church and co-pastored his father's church, so I came out that tradition. Yeah. So all that, y'all be fighting and candidating for a pulpit, I wasn't never in that. I have my thing on Saturday. I'll guest preach for all of y'all. I don't care who wins for pastor. Folk talking about who gonna get this, I ain't in that. Never was. But I digress. But anyway, the preachers know what I'm talking about. So I remember that they would say to me, well, don't get into no civil rights stuff. And I said, okay. And Steve Marshall heard me say this before. I tell them, fine, I won't get into civil rights. So what Bible do y'all use here? Because the version of the Bible that I have don't apply. I don't got the Negro version of the Bible. The Bible I got, the second book of the Bible, is the Exodus of the Jews, which is a civil rights movement. He didn't say that I'm sending Moses to free the saved and sanctified and filled with the Holy Ghost. He said, free my people. So when all of a sudden have you omitted that from the Bible? You got to take Esther out the Bible. You got to take Ruth out the Bible. You got to take all of that out of the Bible. And then after he liberates them, then what you have is corrective behavior. One of the problems that Moses had is after he led the children of Israel. That's why I got into this whole thing today about how we going to talk and how we refer to names. Then after he got them out of bondage, they got in the wilderness and forgot the God that brought them out. One of the things that we realize is that if you don't correct behavior, you will act as slaves even after you liberate it. You cannot get to the promised land on slave behavior. Why? That's why they started building golden calves. That's why they started having golden trinkets. That's why they went into prosperity rather than prophecy. Because they forgot how they got out of Egypt. You didn't get out of Egypt trying to be rich. You got out of Egypt trying to be free. You got out of Egypt following the ethics of God. And that's how we got out of Jim Crow. That's how we got out of slavery. You didn't twerk your way out of slavery. You marched your way out of slavery. Rosa Parks didn't get on the bus and cuss everybody out. She sat there with dignity. She sat there ramrod straight with pride. And because of that dignity, the whole town said, it's better we walk in dignity than ride in shame. Don't forget how we got here. I remember when Mama let me start getting involved. I'd get on the number 2 train, it's number 3 now, and ride from Brownsville and get off at 135th Street and walk up 3 blocks. All I wanted to see was Adam Clayton Powell. And I used to go until he got to know me as boy preacher. I used to see Adam. Then when I was 18, I was youth director for Shirley Chisholm. I grew up among too many giants to be looking up the short folks standing on a ladder. You ain't no giant. They prop you up. I know real giants that grew up from the ground. That's why I believe in a God that say, I'll set you aside. I don't care what king comes forth. I don't care what ruler is there. If I set you aside, I will bless you, and no weapon, no weapon. I hope you're listening, Alvin Bragg. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. If God be for you, if God be for you, if God be for you, it's more than the whole world against you. I serve a God that'll open up Red Seas. I serve a God that'll hold the waters off the Jordan. I serve a God that in the middle of battle, Joshua can look at the sun and the sun will stand still. I serve a God that'll make lions go to sleep when Daniel's in the den. I serve a God that'll take heat out of the fiery furnace. God is still on the throne. God will make a way out of no way. God will give power to the powerless. God will open eyes of blinded eyes. God, he walks with me. He talks with me. God is still on the throne. I want you to hear me, Trump. Your arms are too short to box with God. We're not afraid. We're not, because the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob is still on the throne. The God that can take a son and crucify him. Yet he's going to get back up on the third day. Behind every crucifixion, there is a resurrection. You took us from Africa, made us slaves, made us build this country, and never got paid, robbed us of our language, robbed us of our names, separated our families, and built this country. Then when they emancipated us, some said send them back, send them to Liberia, but we ain't going back. Right here in this country, we gonna be your mayors, we gonna be your district attorney, we gonna be your president. We built this country, we gonna help run this country. No turning back, no bowing down, no scrapping and shuffling. God promised us that you'll reap what you sow. If you trust me, I'll make a way out of no way. Mama taught me he may not be there when you want him, but he's always on time. He'll turn my midnights into days. He'll turn my nightmares into dreams. God is, God is, God is. Amazing grace shall always be my song of praise. Because it was grace. I know y'all can't figure out how come we still here. It was grace. I've been out here a long time, Father Lee. They done prosecuted me. They put me in jail for protesting. Called me all kind of names, did cartoons, but I'm still here. It was grace. They can't figure out why those in power come to our conventions. It's grace that brought me safe this far. And his grace will lead me on. I didn't need no regular grace. Some of y'all been more schooled than me. Some of y'all got more degrees than me. I didn't go to seminary. I didn't get all of that. I needed some amazing grace. Grace that takes a kid that had to grow up on welfare with food stamps. I needed some amazing grace. My daddy wasn't a preacher and my granddaddy wasn't a preacher. I don't come from that kind of lineage. I needed some amazing grace. But a poor boy from the ghettos of Nazareth went to the cross for little children from a single parent home like me. He died. So without credentials, without pedigree, without lineage, I had a shot anyhow. Amazing grace. Amazing grace.
Amazing grace shall always be my song of praise, for it was grace that brought my liberty. I do not know just why he came to love me so, but he looked beyond all of my faults and saw my needs. Amazing grace shall always be my song of praise, for it was grace that brought my liberty. I do not know just why he came to love me so, but he looked beyond all of my faults, and I'm so glad he saw my needs. I shall forever lift mine eyes to Calvary, to view the cross where Jesus died for me. How marvelous that grace that caught my fallen soul. He looked beyond all of my faults and saw my needs. I shall forever lift my eyes to Calvary, to view all the cross where my Jesus, where my Savior died for me. How marvelous that grace that caught my fallen soul. I'm so glad God looked beyond. Oh, yes, he did. He looked beyond all of my faults and saw. I'm so glad he saw my need.
Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. We want justice. want justice. I'm open the doors of the movement. There may be someone here today listens to us on the radio, watches some of what we do on television, but never joined National Action Network. You may be here today. There isn't a better day to join than right now. I want you to just come down to me and we'll sign you up this morning, right now. Become a member of National Action Network. Just come on. Don't worry about who's watching. Everybody in here had to come make this same walk. Come on. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Come on. Come on. Everybody's singing. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Come on. Everybody now. Everybody now. Everybody now. One more time, y'all. One more time, y'all. One more time, y'all. All right. Moving quickly, we always say we're 9 to 11. We almost at 11 now. I'm going to raise our offering, taking our new members and let you go. I know with all these pastors here today, I'm going to raise a good offering. Jameson Noah, when I called him up, he started going in his pocket then. All right. I want everybody to come. Thank you, Father. God bless you. Thank you for being with us, St. Phillips. I'm glad to have all of our pastors. Again, give them a hand. Father Lee from St. Phillips, thank you for being with us. All right, I need about 10 people, 10. I need about 10 to give, that can give $100 or more to come quickly.